one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. Just gotta mean something to you. They gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
Look, I'm through with this false persona. I can't do the Mr. Goody two-shoe shit any longer. Y'all check y'all hoes at the door while I'm putting it on her. Feel less responsible for my actions when I say I'm on the edge and these niggas just keep harassing. Killing people I love, man, this shit just a crime of passion. I know this isn't me, boy, stop asking me what didn't happen. I've been talking to my demons, y'all really thought I was capping. Now y'all scared cause you found that I'm really about all the action. Don't do the pretend shit, all of my problems for instance. Tugging the cheek over tension, nice that we can mention. I would say I moved on, but I know that shit hard to convince it. I sleep at ease when she pull up like a hardy convention. Never been harder to fit in. I know niggas, no pot to piss in. Needing assistance. Also, no niggas ran plays with pistons. Both old wisdom. I sleep in silence, knowing everything good with the profit. I checked the summary last month, made 11 deposits. Everything is big up on the boy, feel like Christopher Wallace. Strong arm the game, who gon' stop him? That nigga too brolic. I've had enough of they twisted logic, that shit retarded. I question everything. I made the wrong choice between a paddock or a wedding ring. Hope you catching everything. They get goosebumps when I spit like when a net is seen.
Lamar Jackson is a quarterback that's beating all of those dudes. He's beating all of those dudes. So in order to win a championship, you need that guy in order to get out of the AFC. My biggest problem with Baltimore is they wouldn't have this situation with the guaranteed contract if they had signed Lamar when he was first eligible for a contract extension. He won an MVP in year 2. He won a road playoff game in year 3. All you had to do was pay him before the Cowboys paid Dak Prescott, before the Browns paid Deshaun Watson, and you wouldn't be in this situation. So this is of their own making. The only way to make it right is to give the man the bag he's asking for.
Absolutely.
Period.
Marcus getting set to go.
Yo. Lucifer by Hove, Jay-Z, for those of you who are not cultured. What a track. Now, I done heard this track millions of times. I grew up with Hove. But, you know, every time I listen to a Hove track, I'm just like, man, what a masterpiece, you know. Like on his album 444, the track 444. That's a fire track. For one, the whole album is fire. But that track, bro. Oh my God. That's one of the hardest Hove tracks out. Jay-Z for you uncultured individuals. That's one of the hardest tracks all time. But listen, we are here today to talk about the new coaching hires. The Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos have made 2 coaching hires. But before I get into that, you know, I just so happened to scroll across a little TMZ video of Michael Vick. You know, being a hoe. Talking about, man, just go look at the video. They asked him about his comments about Lamar Jackson. And he just said a whole bunch of nonsense, knowing he hadn't talked to Lamar. Man, this dude's a clown, bro. Michael Vick is a clown, bro. Like, this dude, and I'm going to tell you what's funny, bro. I never revered Michael Vick the way a lot of people do, just because I never really been a Michael Vick fan. I wasn't an Atlanta Falcon fan, so I never was a... Bro. The fact that people continue to try to use the comparison to Vick is Lamar's comparison is Vick is insane. Because Lamar Jackson is better than Michael Vick ever was. So it's disrespectful at this point to continue to use that as a comparison. But that's neither here nor there, bro. It's always going to be a good day because the Cincinnati Bengals are out of the playoffs. Some of you might be happy Eli Apple just lost. I'm happy Joe Shiesty just lost. I saw Pat Mahomes' dad smoking on that Joe Burrow pack. Respect. Respect to Pat Mahomes' old man. And I know Pat Mahomes' old man got to be a proud old man. Like, bro. You get to sit back. And I know a lot of people clown Pat Mahomes' brother, but bro, you get to sit back. And it don't matter how you feel it. And I'm pretty sure he loves all his children. But it don't matter how the outside world feel about whatever. You know for a fact that man got to be proud of Pat Mahomes, bro. His namesake. Like, this dude, Pat Mahomes, is... I know I started the last episode talking about Pat Mahomes, and I'm going to do it again. This dude, Pat Mahomes, bro, is just so... Listen, it's the greatest quarterback I ever seen with my own 2 eyes, bro. And I thought for the longest Peyton Manning was the greatest quarterback I had ever seen with my own two eyes, or the most talented. Then, you know, Aaron Rodgers. Pat Mahomes is him. And I'm not just talking about Pat Mahomes is him as in Pat Mahomes is him. Pat Mahomes is him, bro. Like, this dude is unreal, bro. One of the biggest things that you got to look at when you looked at that Chiefs-Bengals game, and the Bengals fans, you know, making all these excuses, oh, we was cheated, this and that. You weren't cheated, bro. You weren't cheated. Stop it. When you talk as much trash as the Bengals fans and the mayor and all of those Bengals associates have talked, you got to find some way to put blame on somebody else when it falls so hard. But I see people blaming the defense for this Bengals offense. I mean, for this Bengals loss, and that's just very weird to me because, you know, this loss is getting squarely put on Lamar Jackson's shoulders if he throw 2 interceptions in the AFC Championship game. It don't matter when they came, how they came. Mind you, one of Joe Burrow's interceptions was a crucial interception. They did get the ball back after that deep in they own they basically had to go the entire field once they finally got it back after that. But still, that is a crucial interception. And instead of putting it on Joe Burrow and his offense, I realized they blamed the defense, which the defense had multiple moments in this game where they played more than good enough. I would make an argument. The Bengals had a phenomenal second half. One of the things that I don't think some people expected was for the Chiefs to play as great as they played. Even though Cook had a roller coaster of a game, the cornerback. But Chris Jones stepping up, showing you why he is one of the top defensive players in football. And for some reason, it's just hard for people to accept that Joe Burrow didn't come through in a big game. Because you got all your 3 healthy receivers. You got your running backs. People going to keep blaming this offensive line, but he had multiple times in this game where he just didn't get it done. Them 2 interceptions, I bet you it'd be great to have those back and turn those into at least 3 points or a touchdown. When you have that type of, I done said it all year, bro. When you have that type of offense with those type of weapons, it's not even that type of offense. When you got those type of weapons on offense and Joe Burrow being a top 5 quarterback, you got to get it done. Point blank, period. You got the ball with 2-something minutes left, like a little bit over 2 minutes left, with a chance to win the game, and couldn't get it done. Chris Jones must have wanted it more, as they say. So these excuses that the Bengals fans, it's just like the Saints, bro, when they make that excuse about the pass interference not being called. I understand that was a missed call. That is not what cost them the game. Joseph Asai's play was more of a costly play because of when it happened. Plays throughout the entirety of a game you can point to and say, oh, that cost us the game. Because plays happen. Bad calls happen. When did it happen in the game? The Saints had like 3 more drives after that pass interference, bro. So if that pass interference directly led to a loss right after the play or something like that, that's a completely different story. The Saints I knew the Saints that when I saw that game, and that play happened, I said the Saints going to use this as an excuse now that they're not going to finish it off. Because Drew Brees was already on the downside of his career. He was becoming a dink and dunk merchant. Sean Payton was, at that time, I was calling him an overrated offensive genius because it didn't feel like his offense was adapting with the times. Rather, he had a whole bunch of talent on his team and was squeezing the absolute last bit of juice out of Drew Brees. But now, I don't feel like talking about the Saints. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't feel like talking about the Saints. But nonetheless, I don't know how you Bengals fans continue to make all these different type of excuses as to why you lost, bro. Like I said, I don't feel like talking about the Saints, but that game, that play did not cost the Saints that game. They had multiple opportunities afterwards. When you look at this Bengals game, you can make an argument Joseph Asai cost them that game because of when that play happened. Nonetheless, Bengals fans, you free to argue about it at the home, at the crib, on the couch. What was that shit Eli Appleby? 1, 2, 3 Cancun? Enjoy that. But listen, we're not here to talk about none of that, even though we just got done talking about all that. 2 new coaching hires in the NFL, and I am excited about one of them. Don't really know how to feel about the other one. But I am ecstatic about the DeMeco Ryans hire because I talked about this in a couple videos previously. I want DeMeco Ryans to get this job because while I'm not happy about what transpired over the last 2 years with African-American head coaches with the Houston Texans, it'd be such a shame if a white man was allowed to get that job after the 2 black men was done the way they was done with what the Texans have at their disposal now. To see DeMeco Ryans, not just because he's an African-American man, but because he is an African-American man that is qualified. There's so many African-American coaches right now that are qualified to be head coaches that just will not get the opportunity to become head coaches. That's why you hear Eric Bieniemy's name going around as another OC for a different team and not as a head coach. That's ridiculous in my opinion. Why are the Indianapolis Colts thinking about hiring Jeff Saturday and not Eric Bieniemy, a dude who is now about to be coaching his 3rd Super Bowl? Like, that's insane to me. You give so much credit to Andy Reid for Patrick Mahomes, or you say, oh, well, Bieniemy can't get too much credit because he got Pat Mahomes. But then I'm looking at dudes get offensive coordinators who move into head coaching jobs when you coming from Kyle Shanahan, who called the plays, Sean McVay, who called the plays. You gave Josh McDaniels credit when he had Tom Brady and Belichick. Like, it just makes no sense, in my opinion. But nonetheless, I'm so happy that DeMeco Ryans got this job. Now, if you listen to me talk, not the biggest fan of hiring a defensive head coach. I'm just not because of the way the NFL is headed. However, it's certain defensive guys who seem to come in and set a culture. Not only that, a lot of defensive guys don't go into a situation where they can legitimately build up the organization within the next couple years. He got the draft picks to go out and get him his. How many times do a new head coach got to wait 1 or 2 or 3 years to try to get a quarterback? DeMeco Ryans has the 2nd pick in the draft with the Texans. They get the 2nd pick in this draft. He will have the opportunity to go out and get himself a quarterback. And with the other, because they got a plethora of picks over the next 2 years, he can go out, build the defense in his image. There's no telling what they can do in the trade market and what they could do on the free agency market. I believe guys are going to want to play for DeMeco Ryans. Defensive, at the very least, I believe the Texans will become what the New York Jets look like right now. They could become that quicker. Not only that, they don't have to worry about a running back. They have a running back. The Texans had a good running back last year. The Texans got guys who competed last year. DeMeco Ryans coming into this Texans organization is a perfect fit. And I have to imagine he bargained. It's no way he didn't negotiate for a ton of power to build this roster in his own. And for one, he got 6 years, meaning this is going to be, I like this. This is what the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch type shit was. You get his head coach multiple years to get something done, to build this team in his image. Because you looking for a new head coach because your team not good enough. That's why you looking for a head coach. So it's ingenuous to ask this head coach to come in and try to pick up the pieces where your last coach left off, especially when you don't have really anything in place, specifically a franchise quarterback. Now he got the opportunity to go out, draft a quarterback, build this team up, get other pieces in other areas that he see fit. I think this is going to be a phenomenal fit. Of course, DeMeco Ryans used to be a great player for the Houston Texans. So he already going to be a fan favorite. Like, fans are already going to be rooting for DeMeco Ryans. This feel like a situation where it's not going to be him being controlled by the organization. Like, he'll really have the freedom to go out and make moves that he want to make and do different type of things, because DeMeco Ryans wasn't a last option candidate. DeMeco Ryans was highly sought after by every team that needed a head coach. There was not a single team that needed a head coach that did not have DeMeco Ryans as one of their options, as like the top candidate on their boards. DeMeco Ryans was counseling interviews and calling teams, telling them, I'm good. So the Texans had to offer him something that he was willing to walk away from multiple other head coaching opportunities and walk away from still a great situation in San Francisco. Because I would imagine if he went back to become the DC, if he didn't like the opportunity, he would still be a head coach next year, be top on the list next year. So I think DeMeco Ryans made an absolutely phenomenal decision. If they don't waste those draft picks and start hitting on draft picks, because it is hard to nail every single one of the draft picks they're going to have over the next season or next couple years. Obviously, I'm not saying they got to go 100% on the hit rate, But as long as they nail the quarterback position, that's going to give them time anyways. So you nail the quarterback position. You bring in some receiving threats to help the quarterback. Like, I think the Texans could be a great team within the next 2 to 3 years. It could possibly come quicker than that if they really nail player picks and signings and trades throughout this offseason. And that's another thing. They didn't have to wait till after the Super Bowl to get this hiring done. I think they knew DeMeco Ryans was going to be the head coach a couple days ago, probably a week ago. That's why they hadn't announced anything, and that's why people kept saying that DeMeco Ryans was heavily favored to be getting that head coach job with the Houston Texans. And like I said, I think that was a phenomenal decision by DeMeco Ryans. It make a lot of sense. Like, everything is there for him to have success now and have a legitimate opportunity to be successful as a head coach in the NFL. So I'm happy for DeMeco Ryans. And the next head coaching hire was for the Denver Broncos. They hired Sean Payton. Now listen. If you listen to me over the last 2 years talk about Sean Payton, it would seem as though I am not the biggest of Sean Payton fans. And you might be right. But I do believe Sean Payton is a good head coach, a great head coach. This offensive guru shit that people keep saying he is, I don't believe that's the case anymore. Like, I don't believe he is a offensive guru. I think at one point in time he was. But now I feel like it was more the players than it just was his system. A lot of great players with the Saints and a lot of great defense kept Sean Payton and Drew Brees looking good for a couple extra years. That's all I'm saying. So, listen, I love the fact that Denver made this hire because the Nathaniel Hackett hire was a terrible hire. I think this will bring stability, if nothing else, to the organization. Now, what I'm very interested in is to see how Sean Payton worked with Russell Wilson, because I don't believe Russell Wilson is a bum. I don't think he done. I think Russell Wilson can still be a great quarterback. But now that you bring Sean Payton over, and excuse me, I spoke about that Joe Burrow pack. But now that you bring Sean Payton over, you bring over an offensive-minded head coach. Meaning, he is now solely responsible. He might hire an offensive guy, but he go oversee the success of Russell Wilson. And I do trust Sean Payton to get the most out of Russell Wilson with whatever he got left. I don't know how many years he got. I imagine it's a good amount of years for what they had to give up to get him. I'm imagining Sean Payton going to be there for a while. Like, he probably is retiring a Denver Bronco head coach. And I wouldn't even be surprised if if they have success, Sean Payton will probably be with the Denver Broncos for the next number of years. Like, he could probably hit a decade with the Broncos if they get a quarterback after Russell Wilson. But that's the thing. The defense is already set. So Sean Payton already going to a team where he don't got to do much on the defensive side of the ball. They already a great unit. He coming in to specifically fix that offense, and he's supposed to be an offensive guru. So that's what you expecting is going to happen. So and they got pieces. It's not like Denver is void of talent. This is not going to be a tough turnaround for Sean Payton if Russell Wilson is still a good quarterback. So it's actually a great hire and a great opportunity for Sean Payton. He got to finesse his way out of New Orleans by retiring for a year and going into TV because he didn't want Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill to do who he kept paying. He didn't trust in them dudes enough till he could finesse his way out. They hire a new coach. You know they're not going to fire this dude, Dennis Allen, right 1 year after. Sean Payton knew what he was doing. Now, who I want to see get a head coaching job somewhere else is Big Bruce. Big Bruce Allen. I'm Bruce Allen. Big Bruce Arians, bro. I want to see Bruce Arians get an opportunity again because Bruce Arians already a proven head coach. So, but It's going to be an interesting hire in Denver. I don't think it's going to be a bad hire because I do think Denver could be like Denver will probably be the second best team in that division now. Because I have no faith in the Chargers. I have no faith in the Raiders. Specifically, not even just because of what they done shown us over the last couple years. I'm not taking either of those two head coaches over Sean Payton. I actually think Denver could actually start to put up a fight against the Denver played against Kansas City good this year. Russell Wilson's best games was probably against the Denver Broncos. So actually, this might be a better hire than I even thought because, like I said, not trusting two of the teams in the division, always going to have faith in McGoat and Andy Reid. It's going to be a great and Denver now, to me, Denver is officially they could be a top team in the AFC now with Sean Payton. That's what he brings to an organization. So I understand what they gave up to get him. And even if he not the same offensive-minded head coach, he done had a year out of the game to have a refresher and whatnot. So he going to be better than Nathaniel Hackett regardless. He understands situational football and all those type of things. He a Hall of Fame head coach, and I can't deny that. Nobody can deny that. So that's a great hire ultimately for the Denver Broncos, because I actually think that is what Denver needed. They didn't need if they couldn't get one of the top offensive-minded dudes on the in free agency, like one of the top, like a surefire top guru as far as offensive head coaches, and you couldn't get DeMeco Ryans. I do think Sean Payton was the best option, second or third, however you want to list it. But Sean Payton gonna end up being a great hire for this team, especially if they go out and get another quarterback if Russ is not the guy. Like Sean, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I think Sean Payton could even if Russ don't play like a top quarterback anymore or a quarterback that you think can get you to a Super Bowl, I think Sean Payton, while searching for another quarterback, can still get a lot out of Russ, because I'm looking at what he got out of a Drew Brees, who I know was 2 to 3 years should have retired. He just was chasing records. Because Sean Payton had a dude who couldn't even throw the ball deep down the field no more for 3 years, throwing a bunch of dink and dunks and getting to the playoffs. So I do think it's a good hire, and they will be a top team, not necessarily like a top 3-4 team, but they will be a team that's in contention every year, in my opinion, now with Sean Payton. So both teams made great hires. I think both organizations will be good teams in the coming years. The AFC just keep getting better, bro. The AFC just keep getting better. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You can be anything in the world. Choose to be kind to somebody, bro. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.